Take 3. That's right. Take 3. Camera problems. I know, you don't want to hear it. Not doing it, take 4. It's been shutting off at 2 minutes and 50 seconds. That's all you get. I don't know what to tell you. I'll work on it more later. But I said later already. All right, what we got here is an LS. And I'm an old guy. And I prefer the 350s and the 400s. Old school stuff. I grew up with that stuff. So that's what I prefer. But this 6-liter in here with a tune and everything, even with my roller rockers and roller cams and all that stuff on the 1971 C10 in Spanish gold, that thing won't keep up with this. This is going to have way more power, way more torque, and they just work. They fit in nicely. I'll show you that in a second. But I mean, when I put that motor back in there, it didn't just fall in there. You got to do a little tweaking. And that's what this needs, is just a little tweaking. It pretty much sets right in there. I'll take you on there and show you right now what we're dealing with, what little things we have to adjust. It's really not much. I'll take you right back here to the transmission. So what we got back here is the transmission mount crossover, what do you want to call it. Rock solid. It's got about the right pitch to it. I mean, you can adjust it wherever you want. It's going to work. I don't know why you need to put a new one in there. That's plenty stout. Now, these mounts have a single hole in the bottom instead of 2. So you got to drill a hole. I mean, big deal. That's the worst of that. Not even a consideration. Let's compare to the headers. Now, I know not everybody likes headers, but I do. These headers have plenty of room for the spark plug wires. Nothing's burning. There's all kinds of clearance on the frame. We could actually trim this frame a little more here. GM's got it at like 1 3/4 right there, and way wider up here. So if we needed a little room, we could get it, not hurt a thing. We've got adjustments here. Now this wire's in the way, but when I put it in and out the next time, I'll fish that wire underneath the motor mount, so we'll have all that clearance we need. This side's good, kinda. We've got one more thing to talk about there in a minute. This other side now, there's some small stuff to deal with, but not much. I'll even slide you down just a touch. All right, so over here, we've got plenty of room. I don't know if you can see all the way down in there, but the motor mount bolt is actually connected. It's where it should be. And up here on the power steering, the last guy that used this must have had a clearance issue. There's a little kink in that, and I'm going to say kink. A little kink in that line, the return line for this. I'm not fond of that, but as you see, I got some red paint here. We're going to just clearance this a little bit up front. Now, that's ahead of everything. There's no weight on that whatsoever. I mean, there is a power steering, but it doesn't need all that. So we'll make a little clearance there for the power steering pump. And then back here, again, I don't know how well you can see it, but there's a bump out here. It doesn't need to be there, and it's going to be close to the header once we get this settled in there a little farther. So we might just trim that a touch. I mean, that's the most of it. The problem we're having, the only issue we have at all is, yeah, you can see it. That bolt right in there. That's the motor mount. I can't get my hand in there. Yeah, right here. That's through the hole. It's where it belongs. Well, it's where it's supposed to be. On this other side, I know I'm running around a lot. I don't know if you can get in there. I don't think you can. Well, at any rate, on the other side, it's about 1 inch off. So what I'm going to do to get that inch back, or 1/2 inch, yeah, maybe 1 inch, we're going to slot, I'm going to call it east and west. We're going to slot those motor mounts a little bit on both sides. So that motor we can fit it where we want it. And we'll be able to clamp it right in there. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to come up or down or twist or nothing. But we can fine tune that motor right where we want it. The other issue we're having, and I'm not even going to bother trying to get you any lower, but we're all the way back on the adjustments here. I think I'm going to push the motor forward a little bit because we have plenty of room for where the oil pan goes behind this cross member. And we want to get the motor away from the cab, which we don't have in here. I'm probably going to do a bunch of measuring to make sure this motor fits. We don't want the cab coming down on the motor and have it all fit perfect. So that'll be the next issue. But I believe we're going to keep, I'd like to keep, I think Tom likes mechanical fans. We'd like to keep the mechanical fan, and we're going to measure the distance between there and the core support. We're pretty close to that now, but we can get a little movement. So let's see about getting this raised back out of here. That bolt's tight. And we can take a look at the motor mounts a little bit. So I'll get you back here out of the way so I don't kick you around and what have you. See how well that goes. And then here in a minute, I'll take you to the back and we'll look at the fuel system a little bit on that. But let's see how this goes. We just want to take the pressure off of that motor enough to get that bolt out. Do a two-handed trick here. Not dangerous because my hand isn't in a pinch zone until that bolt comes out. But you just kind of raise that motor a little at a time and it should loosen that bolt. I felt it move. Oh, maybe. Yeah, no. Maybe I went too high. I don't know. Yeah, it's pumping pretty hard. Maybe that won't just fall right out of there. Let's try it again. That's what this is all about. Wiggle, jiggle. Oh, right there. I seen it move. Oh, listen to that. I got it. And you guys were watching. Things never go right when you're watching. That's great. Oh. Oh, no, I got it. Now I'm getting scared. No, ain't nothing to be scared about. All right, so that's back out. Now let's raise this up some more. And then we can kind of finagle them motor mounts. I'll try and stay out of your way here. So this engine is going to fit nicely. Oh yeah, my jack needs oil. I think they always need oil. I don't know, where's it going? Oh, it's going to come towards me a little, but then it'll fall back. I just want to raise it up enough. I put a board under there or something so when I'm working on it, it doesn't fall on my doggone hand or anything. That's enough to get the motor mounts out. Get them out. We'll get them trimmed up. Just elongate the holes a tiny bit. We'll set her back in, but it definitely is going to need a different oil pan. I don't know if you can see down in there. At that angle, you kind of can. I don't have my pointer. I should have brought my pointer. I always got something. Pointer's on the 71. So, excuse me. Down in here, this oil pan hangs way too low. There's plenty of room for it, side to side, but there's quite a drop in those oil pans. It needs just about 2 inches shorter. Now, there's a guy up in Canada who cuts them himself, which is a pretty clever way to save some money because I bet those aren't cheap. And he does a really nice job of hacking them off, cleaning them up, and TIG welding them back. But Tom's going to find the one he wants. We'll just bolt a new one on there. So now I can get in here and work on, I can just pull these out. They're just loose in there. And I can trim them up when you guys aren't watching. All right, let's go to the back. So in the back, it must have been my remote that was the problem. We're going to put the same fuel system in this that's in my 71. I'm familiar with it now. It's relatively inexpensive. It seems to be a pretty good machine. It's going to do the job. The right fuel pressure, all those things you got to consider. Now this is a little unusual, so to speak. I'll get that out of the way. Given tight quarters, I'm running that fuel line around this way. I got it out of my way. I'm running the fuel line around this way and going back up by the wiring harness that way. So what I need to do in order to mount this, now I've done this whole rubber mount deal. I showed you that on another video. These brackets. And these need to be mounted here. This is where the fuel system is going to go. Then the bumper's behind it. Well, you actually, the box comes in and drops down. And then behind the box is the bumper. So there's quite a bit of room here. It's behind the actual frame for rear end collisions. It's not going to crush it, so that's going to work good. Filter here, filter there, double filter, overkill. I love it. So what we're doing is we drilled 4 holes here for that mountain bracket. Always in the name of working on something later, being able to maintenance. I'm putting in zert nuts. So, got my zert nut machine. This just came off of the Amazonian, nothing special. 5/16, 18 zert nuts. If you use a zert nut, well, I don't know why I did that. When he comes in here to work, I messed up on camera. Well, you can just spin this, I guess. When you come in to, let's say that pump quits someday. I mean, everything eventually needs to be worked on. Well, at that point, you can just unbolt these and you don't have to try and fish a wrench in underneath. Now, I say try. In this particular application, I'm not flipping you on your head. The seam of this gas tank comes in underneath this. So you couldn't get a wrench up in there if you wanted to. So these are a must for this particular application. I probably put them in a little tighter than you're supposed to because I always paranoid that they're going to spin after they get older, get rusty. So I tighten them probably tighter than you're supposed to. If you did that to a little one, you'd rip the threads right out of it. Oh, I almost did it again. They're pretty easy to put in. They're not terribly expensive. The whole machine and everything pretty inexpensive and so worth it. Pretty easy to do and effective. Now we will use my fancy, or a little more, my fancy anti-seize when I do the final fit on this fuel system. I say final fit because although I have rubber isolators between these, I'm sure it'll be quiet, but I kind of promised Tom that these were going to be ultra quiet. So what I want to do is when I get to town next time, I'm going to get a rubber. Oh, those don't fit. Well, that's wonderful. Here I am showing up. Well, that fits. All right, I'll just pretend like they all fit and put one in there while you're watching. I'll do the other ones later. I'm about to keep a list of laters all the time, aren't I? All right, it's supposed to just go right in there. Why are you making me look stupid on camera? Oh. Yeah, that one fit fine. No, it didn't. How about this one? Yeah, that one needs drilled out. All right, we're gonna try the bottom one. See if that one works. Come on, this is ridiculous. I know. I should have prepped everything all before you guys came. We're gonna make one of these go. I don't understand why they don't go right in there. I did test fit the zert nuts. Now these aren't going to be taken in and out a lot, but well, let's just, can you see? Just try a bolt in there and see if it fits. Did I get the wrong bolt? Look at that. Yes, I make things look harder than they actually are. Kind of like the mirror. You know those mirrors that say objects appear closer than they actually are, or farther? I don't remember. I make things look more difficult than they are. All right, there we go. I'm just going to do one on camera. Anyway, there's how it's going to work. This hose, I just stuck in there for now. This hose is going to come around. I got the next part on order. It's coming. I'll have that bolted up tight. This hose will go right in here. Fuel filter, fuel pump. And it'll shoot out the other way. And this is our little anti-reverse flow. So I got a little fitment to do there as well. If this bothers Tom, if by any reason he thinks that this isn't safe, even though it's behind the bumper, behind the frame, we can put a piece of I want to call it angle channel all the way across the back of here and have it bolted in with the box as just one more crush zone if he feels it's necessary. I certainly don't. I mean, you're going to hit the gas tank anyway at that point. So there's our fuel system. I'm going to tidy that up a little bit later on. Yeah, I know. Later. God, I still want to get those in. You don't watch me put bolts in, do you? Yeah, that's going to take a little finessing. And I still got to clearance these and get the hoses where they're not crimped. So back up here we go. I just wanted to show you the fuel system real quick. And yes, I'm making very slow headway on the 71 as far as exhaust goes. Again, I don't do a lot of welding in the winter. So we're going to take these right out. And I'm just, I put these on by hand. I did not put a wrench in here. And those are just as tight as they can be. All right, go try this side. Maybe we can do one. I don't know. Oh, I know why. It's got them lock nuts that don't work, or the lock washers that don't work. Right, Mortsky? Yeah, those doggone things don't work. Yep. Hand tight. Yep. I can't get any of them. Ridiculous. Anyway, this is that power wire, starter wire we're going to relocate underneath this bracket when I finally get them off. I'm going to grab a wrench. What size are those? Can you guess? I can never guess. I'm going to say 9/16. So I'll grab 9/16 and 5/8. And see if I can take those off real quick. Just be a second. I'll talk you through it anyway. I can't believe those are that tight. I just did it by hand. I got me 5/8 right here hanging on the wall. I'll grab 9/16 even though I know they're too small because I always guess wrong. Olympic wrench guessing. All right, let's see. By golly, I think I guessed you're right. Huh. I wouldn't. Look at there. See how they spin nice? Well, the nut won't come off them. All right. Oh, gracious. I must have used a wrench on those. I think I fibbed. I don't remember putting a wrench on them. I must have. All right. Either way. This kit says, okay, they're nylon nuts. Forgive me, Marky, my bad. Anyhow, these particular motor mounts and these brackets are all designed for this setup, and they're supposed to just fall right into place. Do they? No. See if I can get that bottom one. I doubt it. I'll have to lay on the floor and get all in the dust and the dirt. Why wouldn't I? Yeah, I'll take the other two loose on the other side while we're here. All right, back on this side. You guys have done more walking today. Are you getting your steps in? You can't count these steps I'm doing for you. This ain't part of your 10,000 just because you walk back and forth in the shop with me. You're sitting on the couch. That don't count. Now, if you're going to get a cup of coffee or something, that sounds good, a cup of coffee right now. That counts. Yeah, by the time you get done building the truck, you've done everything twice. So I guess if you were really good at it, you could have built 2 trucks in the time it takes me to build one. I wish I hadn't thought of that. Now I got a whole new perspective on it, and I don't really appreciate it. Oh, well. Oh, well. My point being, I'm taking these motor brackets, taking them out again. I've lost track. I don't know, 4, 5 times? More than that. But they'll come out as many times as they need to. Oh, I could have had my zip, 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 zip machine, but I'm an old guy. I like wrenches. They work fine. Did I tell you guys I'm not a mechanic? You probably figured that out by now. Good stuff. All right, it's time. I'm gonna have to go underneath there and get all dirty. But it's got to be done. These are such a pain. I almost didn't put the final bolt in the bottom. You're not going to be able to see. There's just no way. Get me under here. I'm on jack stands. I don't want to hear anything about being dangerous. It's on jack stands. All right, right there. Goodness me. I probably should have zerked none of these, but I don't think that's the appropriate bolt. Well, I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I zert none these? I'll climb down here with a wrench. I didn't even need to. Silly, silly man. What I'm going to do, though, before we actually hack anything, because I'm a hacker, oh, that's good stuff, too. I'm going to try to flip the motor mounts over. I think, I never measured them, but I think they're square, if that makes sense. They're the same. I might as well get the other one. I'm under here. Gracious me. Oh, do you guys know how old I am? I'm younger than I feel. Yeah, that's kind of scary, but it can't fall on me. I got jack stands. I got the cross members. All right, I got them. I got them. I got it. Got it. Got it. Washer and all. Man, I'm having a good day. Oh, something fell. I think the wrench is out of my pocket. All right, I'm coming out of here. Here I come. Like it or not. Oh, God. I love being on the floor. I got a hoist. Do I use it? No. All right. Well, I already took those out. That don't matter. All right, here's our motor mount that we talked about. I got to make sure you can see. These set in there like that, and we're going to slot these. I see they got a notch in them I'm not real fond of, but I got a welder. We're going to bridge this up, make a nice bead along the top of this, reinforce it, and then we're going to slot this over just about twice the width of that hole, or one more hole over, just enough to give us some wiggle room on both of them. Then I'll line bore it and make sure that, no, I'm not. That ain't gonna happen. So while we're right here, I'll knock that off. Let's take this motor mount off. Well, I'm not gonna put calipers on it or anything, but we could put a tape measure up to it real quick. Just two bolts, finger tight. And no, that wouldn't make it fit better if I tightened them. It's set right flat on top of these. Come off of there. All right. Here's our motor mount. My golly, they are a little different. This small mount. Let me quick grab a tape measure, but if you're looking at that, you can see it's a little bit out. I got calipers too, but we don't need to get that precise. It looks to me like maybe if I flip them over and put everything back together, yeah, silliness. I can't find a tape measure. If you know me, you know better than that. I bet I got 15 tape measures out here. All right, here we come. Here I am. I believe, excuse me, these didn't say top or bottom, but I put them rivets up. And from these two holes, center of that hole, it'd be easier to measure the outside. From the outside of that hole to the center of this hole, I believe it's 2 inches right on. So I had it mounted this way. Are you with me on this? Help me think this out. I had it on this way. And we were not wide enough, so that's not going to change the depth. But it will change the height, which will change the depth too. So what I'm getting at is, from this direction, I'm 2 inches to the center. From this direction, I'm going to flip it over just so it's easier for me to measure. From the front hole to the center is a little shy. It's 1 3/4 inches. So what's that telling me? I know it's a lot of babble. What it's telling me is I need to do this again. Instead of mounting the motor mounts, the rivets on top, which puts the motor higher, we're going to flip it over, put it back on this way to set them a little lower. And being lower, they might fit perfectly. I got to try. In my head, I can't figure out the geometry of it sliding and all that. So I'm going to put them back on there. Are we out of time yet? I hope not, because I'm having fun. I'll keep working without you, but I kind of like having you guys watch me. You help me think this stuff through a little bit. Oop, don't do that. I'll just do them on the same side. It doesn't matter. We ran into this before too, didn't we? These are just stamped so that they don't fit just perfect. Wiggle them around, they'll tighten up. Yep, we're gonna give that a whirl. Won't get it done before the end of the movie, but and the same thing here. Where are we at on these back ones? Yeah, the same thing here. I'm just gonna set these in by hand. I'm not even gonna do the washers right or nothing. I'm just gonna put them in there. That'll keep. It's not going anywhere. It's sitting here on the ground. It's just gonna set in place. So I'll fit this up, and on the next movie video, we will see if that saves me from slotting those motor brackets, which I would really prefer not to. It's not a big deal if I have to. It's just kind of nice when everything fits right together and I can brag up the LS bolts right into these things. And that's what I'm after. All right. Keep dodging around. I'm going to frog around with those for a while. I'll get this one flipped over. I still got to get those bolts. It's on my list. And when I bring you back next time, hopefully this will be in there a little tighter, a little more in its spot. This is my first time, so bear with me. I'm learning as I go. It's never easy when you learn as you go. From the brake lines to the wires to all that. We're going to get this in here. There's no doubt in my mind it's going to work. Sawdust all over me. And hopefully it'll be all set in there when you come back. Even this cross member settled in. And then we can do a little measurement on our differential to the back for a drive shaft another day. We can start making things happen. Getting these wires draped off, figuring out where hoses go. But I don't want to lock this in. Lock it in good until we get a good measurement for the cab. And I believe I can do a cab mount to firewall measurement and make sure we have plenty of clearance. I'd like it 3 or 4 inches just for safety. All right, I gotta go. See how many times it takes me to turn this off today. Because my remote quit. I think my remote was the problem. All this fancy equipment. I need to just do away with it all. Until next time, bye.